everyone, and welcome back to Silicon Sounds, audio for the rest of us. Today I have the pleasure of reviewing the Hidizs MS5 Dark Angel. This is a brand new release. In fact, at the publishing of this review, the pre-sale would have started. I was very happy to be chosen by Hidizs to be one of the early owners of this IEM. Of course, they did expect a review, and here it is. There have only been a few times when a product has made me go through a cycle of stop and start with respect to evaluating its sound. With the Hidizs MS5, I had to consciously step away from listening to it for more than a few days and restart with the hope of having a more refreshed set of audio sensibilities. Here is an IEM which challenged me. I've been challenged before in the past by IEMs. The challenge is coming to grips with its sound, the synergy, the perfect synergy that will bring out the best that the earphone has to offer. I've had this challenge with earphones such as some celebrated ones, such as the Care Believe and a few others. But the MS5 was more difficult than usual. Hidizs is proud of the tech that's in the MS5, and there's a lot to talk about here, and they should be. Here's a rundown of the technologies found in the Hidizs MS5. Let's give you a closer look here. Very nicely made. Angel motif. It's a nice earphone all around. Let's talk about the tech. Replaceable Hidizs pneumatic sound tuning filters. Very fancy way of saying that the nozzles can be removed and replaced. There are 3 available nozzles. It ships with the balanced tuning nozzle, which is gold colored. And then we have the treble tuning or vocal tuning nozzle, which is silver. And we have the bass tuning nozzle, which is red. We come on this metal plate, screw it out, screw it back into the actual IEM, and you can change the sound quality. Or I should say the sound signature, not the quality. The Hidizs is very proud of using the Sunyon drivers, Sunyon balanced armature drivers from Denmark. Sunyon drivers are known to be of very high quality, up there with Knowles, of course, as a competitor though, and for their quality and performance. Also, Hidizs uses a new custom liquid silicone dynamic driver, which is actually a Kevlar fiber with injection molded silicone center. Whatever this driver is made of, I got to tell you that they've done a fantastic job. The bass on the Hidizs MS5 Dark Angel is exceptional. Also, they have what they call Hidizs exclusive solder process. They really tout their soldering process as having a positive effect on sound quality. And then we have the aluminum alloy cavity and resin hollow panel. Really nicely done. Very nice quality. Feels good in the hand. The haptics are all there. The Hidizs MS5 offers up a hybrid driver setup with 1 dynamic driver and 4 Sunyon balanced armatures per side with a dedicated crossover. Exceptionally easy to drive, and I mean very easy to drive. The MS5 can be driven to air-splitting levels on the majority of smartphones or cheaper dongles. That, though, is not recommended, as the MS5 does require some effort to find that synergy that will allow it to perform its best, scaling nicely with better sources and audibly. The MS5 does indeed deserve to be driven by more capable front ends. So here we have lots of tech shoved into a beautiful shell at a semi-premium price. I believe the release price will be the $350 to $375 US range. So not necessarily cheap, but still semi-premium. What does it all sound like put together? Well, let's read on. Let's talk a little bit more about the specs. Hidizs new custom liquid silicone dynamic driver, Sunyon, 4 balanced Sunyon balanced armatures, Hidizs exclusive solder process, replaceable tuning nozzles, comes with a very beautiful cable, and I will show you that as we go along. In fact, I should show you that right now. This beautiful case also. The retail presentation on this is also exceptional and becoming of a product at this price range. The cable is fabulous. As you can tell, I have not used the cable. I can't comment on its sonic properties, but with respect to the quality of the cable, the haptics, everything in your hand, definitely higher end. Very, very good. So, equipment used for this review include the E1DA 9038S G3 with stock filter, topping A50S amplifier. Tips used were Tanchim T300 APBs, Final Audio E's, and BGVP W07s. Cable was a nice HCK 16-core HPC, and for a few seconds the stock cable, which was pretty much put back in its box, not even unraveled. But that's what was used for the review. Let's talk about build, fit, and quality. The Dark Angel is of excellent build quality. Nothing to complain here. It's very attractive IM. The aesthetic design with the angel motif really works well here. And overall fit and finish are very good. The gold accents are tastefully done to add to the overall look and premium feel. The MS5 is a medium-sized, I would say, IAM, which fit very good in the ears. And the nozzle does protrude to an extent to allow getting a really good seal with whichever tips you find are your favorite. Haptics are great. Moderate in weight, yet feeling sturdy in the hands. It's obvious that care was taken with the fit and finish of the MS5. Bravo, Hidizs. The retail presentation and quality of the included accessories is also very good. This is the box it will come in. And you see that there's 3 sets of tips here: bass, vocal, and balance tips. And the tuning nozzles are included. The case with the cable fits right here. Again, unscripted videos, these things happen, I'm sorry. Fits right here. Everything is really, really done very, very well. Again, I apologize. These videos are one shot, unscripted. So let's talk about the sound. This is where, let's get things rolling here. Bass. The Hidizs MS5 Dark Angel has a bass that, in my opinion, is the standout part of its tuning. Bass is articulate, quick, detailed, and with ample slam, all the while being able to render textures very well. Very good detail. The Dark Angel has a low end that I really liked with great balance, control, and power. On top of it, the mid-bass also has very good punch, but does not muddy the lower mid-range at all. In fact, it imparts only a slight bit of warmth to the lower mid-range. Angel by Massive Attack, one of my go-to tracks, sounded impressive with the bass texture coming through clearly. Poems of Thunder by China Hawkman was equally impressive with all the power present, but with such control and detail retrieval in the bass that the reverberations of the drum skins could be clearly heard after the impact strikes started to fade. Really impressive. Drum and bass tracks such as Mannix by Intelligent Hoodlum and Transitions by Proxim sounded very impressive. The MS5 is able to relay that hard, impactful bass while remaining poised and controlled all the time. Use of the bass filter did not turn the MS5 into a bass head level IEM, but instead seemed to temper the upper mid-range emphasis, allowing the bass to garner more focus. Having the bass filter installed actually was my preferred way of listening to the MS5, and I'm not technically a bass head. All said, this is a very high quality bass reproduction we have on tap here, and again, in my opinion, it's the most impressive part of the Dark Angel's sonic representation. Very well done. I'll go on a limb and say this is to be one of the best bass reproduction in an IM that I have heard from whatever I've listened to over the last few years. Now, let's get into the mid-range. The mid-range of the Hidizs MS5 Dark Angel is more intimate than recessed and is affected by the choice of tuning filter naturally. Of course, it would be. The vocal filter brings the upper mids even more to the forefront, but did not suit my tuning preference, as I found the tuning then became more aggressive than I preferred. The bass filter was my preference and tamed just enough of the energy heard in the upper mid-range to make it a lot more listenable, or, for myself and my tuning preferences. The Dark Angel is capable of impressive detail retrieval, both macro and micro. The mid-range is open with good layering and separation. Transits are also handled quite well, but more with respect to impact. Note weight is also commendable in its quantity and quality. Tender-Hearted Lover by John Stoddart, one of my go-to vocal tracks, has a wonderful vocal performance, and the crispness of the vocals was splendid. It was easy to make a connection with the emotion behind the vocalist here. One of the MS5's greatest strengths is the reproduction of male voices, which do sound natural and quite expressive. Protection by Massive Attack had Tracy Thorn's vocals sounding lush and transparent. Sweet Love by Anita Baker followed suit with great vocal playback, although not quite up to the standard heard with male vocalists. Now let's get into the crux of the MS5. Here we go. While the lower mid-range is done very well, it's when moving to the upper mid-range and beyond, upper frequencies or even beyond that, when things can get, let's call it, complicated. The MS5 does better with tracks that have moderate amounts of upper mid-range energy, in particular as we move up into the treble range itself. Darker sounding tracks, like most songs from Massive Attack, for example, play to its strengths with a sense of clarity and space that is quite notable. The upper mids, though, can get less cohesive and aggressive when there's lots of energy in that part of the frequency range. This, unfortunately, can become a distraction, taking the focus away from the things that the MS5 does so well. Black Hole Sun, for example, by Soundgarden, when things get busy in the track, and they do get quite busy, that separation and clarity heard on less crowded songs takes a hit to the point where it can actually become fatiguing after a short while. I must point out that I'm not treble sensitive. In fact, I love clean extended treble. But I also demand that reproduction be as organic or natural as possible. Timbre is good overall until we hit the upper mid-range, and then it suffers into the treble. This does affect the ability of the MS5 to pull you into the music more often than not. What's missing here is a measure of organics in its presentation. Let's move on to the treble. The treble reproduction of the Hidizs MS5 Dark Angel is going to be polarizing. There's going to be a number of reviews coming out, some praising it, some not so positive. Let's get into it here. Hidizs has definitely taken some tuning chances, and I respect them for that. Unfortunately, the outcome did not sit as well with this opinionated music lover as I hoped it would have. Treble is well extended with ample air and sparkle being detailed as well. This is not an IEM for treble sensitive folks. In fact, regardless of the filter used, the Dark Angel is nowhere near dark sounding and always has a lively output, even in the treble. Transients have a sharp attack, but fall off does not always sound natural. There is a strange, less than natural shimmer to cymbal brushes and strikes that is less than organic. Harmonics from instruments also seem left of organic as well. This is expounded when the track has a lot of treble energy, and timbral accuracy suffers in the upper frequencies. And definitely it's not a strong suit of the Dark Angel when going from the upper mids up until the treble, unfortunately. Some will like this enhanced vividness and appearance of added detail, but to my ears it does depart enough away from my organic tuning preference where it can become distracting, and at worst, the treble reproduction can become fatiguing. The intricate cymbal work, for example, on No Worries by Robert Glasper, lacked the natural reproduction and neutral reproduction I had recently experienced from the likes of the Yanyan Canyon And one of my favorites, the High Senior T2, the retuned version. For electronic and house music selections, this will not be as much of a disturbance as the MS5 has enough drive and energy to make these genres sing. And yes, it does make them sing. When playing back acoustic instruments, though, and we're even talking about drums here, like a real drum kit, this is when things start to fall down. And the timbral accuracy and natural sound is more easily judged with natural acoustic instruments. And this issue of its reproduction becomes clearly apparent. Imaging and soundstage. Well, the Hidizs Dark Angel throws up a moderately large soundstage with pinpoint instrument placement. Imaging characteristics are stable and layering capabilities do stand out with a good amount of air and space around the instruments. Of the three axes, width is definitely more prominent, but this does not detract from the representation of height or depth that the MS5 can project. The MS5 does throw up a nice soundstage, which works very well for live tracks such as Stimula of the Coltrane by Hugh Masekela, sounding vibrant and alive. Let's talk about some verses. Unfortunately, I don't have it with me. I had to send it back, but the Yan Yan Canyon. They're both going to be around the same price range, so let's talk about them. Bass has a thicker and heavier weight on the Canon, but the MS5 is no slouch, matching it with respect to power. The Hidizs MS5 is superior when it comes to other bass metrics, including detail, texture, retrieval, and responsiveness in the low end. The Canon does well, very well. But with respect to bass, the MS5 is just special and, I have to say, more engaging in the bass. In the mid-range, the Canon is actually more versatile as its tuning switch implementation, we're talking about switch number 2 here, which will affect the mid-range more than any other part of the frequency range, provides a more audible impact than the tuning nozzle frequency changes of the MS5. Lower mids are very close between the two, very close. If I had to give in terms of male vocal reproduction, the MS5 may have a slight edge, and the MS5 does have a touch more detailed retrieval. But when including the upper mid-range in the comparison, and we have to include it because sound is not just one frequency. The Canon is more natural sounding, in particular when there's lots of musical energy in that part of the frequency spectrum. The Canon with all switches off has a more subdued treble than the MS5, regardless of filter used, but still with great clarity and detail. Moving on, I would say that treble sounds markedly more natural with the Canon. This is easily heard with well-recorded acoustic instruments and is brought front and center when the track has a lot of upper mid-range and treble energy. The Canon also reproduces treble decay in a more natural way. Even upper mid and treble transients are reproduced much more naturally with the Canon. Cymbal brushes and strikes have a more organic presentation with the Canon without any fatigue-inducing harshness or overemphasis. My overall choice between the Canon and the MS5 would be the Yan Yan Canon. Conclusion. Let's end this off here. The Hidizs MS5 Dark Angel has a lot going for it. It's impressive tech, competent manufacturing, and sonic presentation that will sure to be able to woo a lot of people. Add in that flexibility afforded by the 3 tuning nozzles, and we have an effort by Hidizs to produce one serious product. It has bass that has to be one of the best I've heard, paired with the lower mid-range that is impressive indeed for its clarity and ability to convey emotion, particularly with male vocalists. Frequencies above that is when things start to unravel and shift the focus away from what the MS5 does so well. As an opinionated music lover, I strive to be honest and unbiased with my opinions, based solely on my listening experiences. The MS5, to these opinionated ears, lacks the organic playback in the upper mid-range and treble that I often found unnatural, fatiguing, and distracting. It failed to disappear and draw me into the music more often than not. As mentioned above, many will enjoy the sound of the MS5, and that is great, as it has a lot to offer on that front. That being said, I'm not part of that group and found the MS5 did not have enough of that natural organic sound that is essential in allowing me to escape into the music. It has a few but clear shortcomings, but these are too distracting and override what it does so well and what it excels at. If you are a lover of a more technical but not necessarily organic or timbrally accurate playback, then the Hidizs MS5 Dark Angel may be something for you to consider. At between $350 and $375 US introductory price, there's a lot of competition here. And I'm sure the MS5 and Hidizs will find fans who will rally around it. Unfortunately for me, I can't say that it's something that will be in my ears more often. Thanks again for watching this review. I want to thank Hidizs again for allowing me the opportunity to sample this product well before its release date. And continue to support the channel, continue to tell other people about the channel. Take care and see you next time.